Hello everyone. Today we have Kajal Raju with us. She secured 910th rank in UPSC Civil Service Exam 2022. She selected sociology as an optional, and today we'll be discussing her preparation strategy and the way she approached sociology during her preparation. So welcome Kajal.
Thank you, sir.
So Kajal, to start with, how did you or why did you select sociology as an optional?
Sir, the first factor was my interest. So, from my higher secondary education itself, I was pursuing humanities as my main subject. So, I was exposed to this subject of society, societal angles, and things like that. So, I had a basic interest towards what's happening in society and knowing something related to that. So, and the second factor was coming to my degree and post graduation. It was in development studies, and I did my post graduation in development studies in IIT Madras. So here, it's basically an interdisciplinary course where we'll be exposed to a variety of subjects. So in one of the major semesters, I had this exposure to the subject of sociology, and I had come to learn some theories, its practical applications, and things like that. So basically, I was kind of familiar with the subject. So when I went through the question papers and when I went through the syllabus, it was I felt that it would be easy for me to grapple with the subject. And considering like it's very generally known that sociology has a very short syllabus as well. So I think that was also a major consideration.
Okay. So, as you mentioned about your humanities background and how you were exposed to sociology before. So, my question is, do you think sociology is an optional subject that can also be chosen by students who are coming from other backgrounds like engineering, or commerce? Because myself, I've learned commerce and then I switched to sociology optional. Because again, I found that sociology is comparatively relative. We can relate it with things that we see around in the society, things that we actually are part of and we know about. So that was the kind of interest that I had in sociology. So in your opinion, do you think like even students from science background can also opt sociology?
Sure, I don't think that pursuing a commerce stream or having a background in science stream is a major hurdle to pursuing sociology in that sense. I think the basic interest matters. So generally what I think is if you are like someone from science or commerce background, you generally might not be having that aptitude in societal things or in generally analyzing social things or things like that. So I think before opting for any optional, not just sociology in that sense, you need to look for the syllabus, you need to look for the questions that are asked, you need to look like what is being taught in the syllabus or the subject as such, and you need to see if you have that interest and aptitude for pursuing that subject. So that is I think one major thing. And like I do think that only once you start learning the subject, maybe you will be getting a better idea about that. But generally I have heard that certain people from science or commerce stream find it difficult to approach the answer writing part, because answer writing is very important when it comes to sociology rather than understanding things. So since sociology deals with very general subjects like what, as you have already mentioned, like what we generally see in society, what we are familiar with, it would not be very difficult for them to grasp the analytical angle or grasp the conceptual part. But I think answer writing matters, so we need to be a bit careful while selecting our optional.
Okay. All right. So as you mentioned about answer writing and the importance of answer writing in sociology, so I'll jump into the preparation part. Okay, so how you started your preparation, like what was your preparation journey in sociology? So I'll be just focusing on sociology because most of our viewers would like to hear about sociology optional as such. So I'll start with your journey. Like how was it like in the beginning, how did you approach sociology? Did you go to any coaching institution for classes? When did you start writing answers? So I need to know.
Okay. So basically I had enrolled for a prelims cum mains batch at an institute in Trivandrum itself. So there I was preparing for the optional. I was taking optional classes at the institute. So generally we say that like as beginners we tend to do this common mistake of preparing for prelims alone. Like we focus very less on optional and mains, and we start focusing more on prelims. So this was already in my mind that I should not be doing like this. So I started as I was attending the classes for optional, I was studying for the I'm studying the syllabus as well, and I was making sure that I was attending the classes regularly and I had the class notes for the same. So, and whenever I was getting time, like I was giving time for studying the syllabus as well. And we used to have certain answer writing classes, like sir used to give us questions and we used to write certain answers and send him and get the feedback as well. So, so basically I was writing answers that time, but although it wasn't very good in that sense, answers were not coming very good, but I was writing answers and I had continued this trend like till the intense prelims phase was going to start. So this was happening, but I was also a bit scared of not completing the syllabus as such. I was not able to study the whole syllabus before the prelims itself. But then since I was kind of confident that I would be able to cover the syllabus later, because as I already said, sociology has a very short syllabus, but I do not advise the aspirants to do this, but that was something. So that was happening, and post prelims, like once I got into the prelims, I thought I should start the intense mains preparation, and optional was a major part of that. So there I was writing the answers regularly, like on a day-to-day basis, and so then I had enrolled for the test series in Socio Mentors as well, and I was sending you the answers I think on a daily basis, and I was getting the feedback, and I was trying to incorporate the suggestions that you gave in the test series as well.
So Kajal, as you have mentioned about your preparation journey and your test series, so I want to go back and ask about the sources that you referred for sociology optional, because this is one area where most of the students have certain confusion, like how to or where to find paper 1 notes, or which kind of books that you need to refer for paper 1 as well as for paper 2. So what sources have you referred, and can you also mention like how it was useful for your mains exam?
Okay. So the primary source for me was my class notes. So I used to be a student like who takes regular class notes, and so that it would be useful for my revision as well. And the second standard textbook that I tried to refer to was Nitin Sangwan, but I couldn't refer it like fully. So I referred like some here and there, some portions I tried to refer so that I could incorporate that into my content. And sir, I also tried to use textbooks and materials from other institutes as well. Like I was open to referring notes from other institutes. So I had used from Socio Mentors and other institutes as well. And IGNO notes was also something that I used to refer to for certain selected chapters, not like fully, but some selected chapters. I think these are the major sources.
Okay. So how about the standard books? Because mostly when students search internet, they will be finding information that you have to refer Harlem-Bose, you have to refer Anthony Giddens. So did you ever refer these standard books?
I had also got this advice of referring Harlem-Bose or Nitin Sangwan, and according to these suggestions, I just tried to refer to Nitin Sangwan. But then I had felt that it's not my cup of tea, in the sense that it was very like it was having like too much content, in the sense that you will be having thinkers for each and every point. So I practically found it difficult to memorize each and every thinker mentioned in these books. So I thought I would limit my content and I would focus more on the answer writing part.
Okay. So for a beginner, so your suggestion will be to refer the class notes, to refer the materials provided by institutes rather than going for the standard books. So can I ask you one more thing regarding that? So you have already mentioned that the major challenge that you faced was regarding, it was too bulky. There were thinkers in each and every point that they were mentioning. So apart from that, did you find any other issue associated with these standard books, like the problem with whether you are able to comprehend these books, the content that is given in this book? So was there any issues related to that?
Sir, I personally did not find an issue in comprehend the things that was given in the textbook in that sense, because I was following the class also, like at the same time simultaneously I was following a class. Okay. So it was not very difficult to like get an idea of the concepts given by thinkers and all, but the content was too much. And I found the examples also were like very repetitive. Like I felt, so at one point I was referring to these standard textbooks, I mean the Nitin Sangwan. But then I was writing answers in Socio Mentors, and I think you had given the suggestion that my examples were going very mechanical. So the original thinking part was actually missing in the answers. So when I stopped referring to the standard textbook, like I was giving a practical example of the concept that I studied. So I was again resorting to my original thinking and creativity, which could bring a uniqueness to the answers.
Correct. So I was getting to that point. So do you think having this mixed kind of, referring to different coaching institutes notes, and which are, they are thoroughly created this for UPSC exam. So all the things mentioned in those books will be directly related to the syllabus, right? So you have mixed up various, notes provided by different institutes, and you have also created your own idea regarding these topics, by incorporating ideas from different parts. So did it help in providing unique answers in mains exam? Were you able to create differences in the answers that you have written? So what is your take on that?
So sir, as you rightly said, so these, for me personally, it was not a major hindrance in that sense. Like I was open to referring these materials, and it was helpful for me, because I feel that no coaching institute would be able to give details of the complete syllabus for the UPSC preparation. So here and there certain details will be missing in the materials given by each and every coaching institute. So when you start compiling all these materials, I think you will be able to get a decent content that you need to really like use in the mains part, optional part.
Okay, all right. So you have mentioned about the paper one, you have mentioned about the sources that you have referred for the paper one, but the important question is here about the paper two, because all those students who are preparing now, actively preparing, they also find it difficult to learn paper 2, especially because of its dynamic nature. So how was your strategy regarding paper 2?
Okay, so coming to paper 2, as I already mentioned, the materials of coaching institutes was the primary material, and then secondly I referred to IGNOU sources as well for where the content was lacking. And I also think that since you already mentioned, there is a very generic nature of the questions that's coming in the paper 2, and so it's mostly based on the current affairs part. So I think newspaper will also play a very major role, because you would be able to note certain examples from the newspapers or certain arguments in the editorials that which you could be using in the answers. So I think these are the major things.
So as you have mentioned about the newspaper and the relevance of current affairs in sociology, especially related to paper 2. So how relevant is current affairs? I want you to compare it with GS, because this is the kind of doubt many of the students have, do we have to study current affairs in sociology similar to that of GS, or do we have to approach it from a different angle, from a different perspective? So what is your take on that?
Okay. So sir, in paper 2, most of the questions will be general. So for example, they could ask you a question like, what are the causes or reasons for child labor happening in India? So this is a question that could come in the GS as well. But then the way in which we write answers for both GS and sociology is very different. So I think here you have to take a sociological point of view, and that is something which we develop during the course of time. So what I exactly mean by the sociological point of view is that you will be able to connect to certain theories that you would be learning in sociology, be it in paper 1 or paper 2, certain keywords that you could be using in the answers. So I think in that sense, current affairs plays a major role, and again in paper 2 you could be you would be using statistics data, which you would be doing in GS as well. So here again these could be used.
See, when some students come and ask this question to me, so my perspective and take on this, so I just want to put it out there. So my perspective on this is, if suppose you are preparing current affairs for GS, you will have to read the compilations, you will have to go through the different dimensions of whatever topic that is being discussed in the compilation. But when it comes to sociology, I think you have to stick on to developing a sociological viewpoint, as you have mentioned, because suppose there is an issue that is happening in the country, or suppose let's take the example of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. So UPSC is not going to ask the details of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita in sociology.
Right.
Rather than that, they will be asking about the sociological perspective of BNS, right? So that is how we need to think. So
Yes.
I'll tell them that you need not have to learn current affairs similar to GS,
Yes.
but you have to have a sociological point of view of these topics or these issues. So that is entirely different, because
Yes.
there you need not have to refer the compilations for GS. Second thing that what I found is, like, when you refer to these current affairs stuff, you can use it as an example in your answers for paper 1 as well as for paper 2, because mostly we are dealing with the society related topics. So I think that is also there. So that is my take on that. So do you agree with that?
Right, exactly. So again, when we refer to the current affairs part, as you rightly mentioned, we do not need to mug up the facts related to the current affairs. So like where did it happen, like what did it happen, you just need to know what was the issue, and if you are able to connect it with some theory or with some sociological angles, that would be great. So I think I got this perspective mainly from this Socio Connect magazine that Socio Mendes has released before. So there again, we were not focusing on the factual part, like how many people died or what happened there. We were not focusing on that, but then we were exactly connecting with the theory that we have studied. So we already know the theory, and like even though if we do not try to connect it directly, like it could be used in paper 1 as well. So keeping aside the connection part, we could also use this as an example for that theory, specific theory that was mentioned. So in this sense, I think this was immensely useful.
So as you have mentioned about Socio Connect, the entire philosophy when we started developing Socio Connect was that it is the core idea behind Socio Connect was this pain point that students were actually facing, because they don't know exactly how to prepare current affairs for sociology. So we decided we will bring out something that will help students to understand how to prepare, current affairs for sociology. And meanwhile, we will also be providing them with articles to give them like practical idea, like how they need to understand this article, what all interconnections that they can create out of these articles, etc. Okay, all right. So moving on, I also want to understand the specific strategy or approach that you have taken for paper 1 and paper 2, because I am asking this question specifically because when you consider the nature of questions asked in paper 1 and paper 2, it is entirely different. For paper 1, UPSC focuses mostly on theoretical questions, which are related to thinkers, where you have to stick on to the theory. I'm not saying that generic questions are not asked there, but predominantly it is theoretical question. But when it comes to paper 2, the nature of questions are completely different, where you will get more of generic questions rather than theoretical or direct questions. So how did you balance these two different set of questions? What was your strategy to prepare yourself for this?
Correct. Sir, I think when I was preparing for the mains, first of all, I was not able to differentiate this.
Okay.
So while I was starting to write answers, I was writing paper 1 answers and paper 2 answers kind of similarly. So I think only in the last part, maybe in the full test part, I was able to bring out some answers really well, especially in paper 2, where I was able to bring out these connections.
Correct.
So till then I was like, you used to tell me that you should bring some connections, but I was not having an idea personally. So I think that major differentiation is something that the aspirants have to majorly know, in the sense that your approach to paper 1 and paper 2 is completely different, or may not be completely different, but again different in some sense. So in paper 1, again the questions are mostly theoretical. So I think the major problem that here one faces would be to understand the concept very properly, and to, okay, we might be knowing the concept very nicely, okay, to explain to someone we might be knowing, but it is a struggle to put that into the paper. So to put in very simple words, for example, if we try to refer to the copies of toppers, we would be reading their answers and we would be feeling like what is very much unique in their answers. But when you observe these answers very closely, you would be feeling that answers are very simple, in the sense that they are simple, that one from a non-sociological background could also understand what is being said about the theory. So that is something. So you need to have a very good clarity of the concepts and theories to write like that. And the second thing I think is, so when we start writing theory for a question, we'll be going on writing theory. So it would be kind of very mechanical again. So if we can use some examples to show that, okay, we know that this theory is applicable here, or to show the analytical part, it would be good. Not like throwing like 2 or 3 examples in an answer, or 1 or 2 examples in an answer would be good. I think paper 1 can be dealt like that. So with regard to paper 2, again the questions are generic. So here I think some theories are there that which we need to know, and there could be a interlinking of theories. Like we generally think that paper 2 is paper 2. So what we refer from paper 2 should be written here and paper 1 should be written here. So I think that boundary should be blurred, and things from paper 1 could be written here and paper 2 could be written here. So it depends on the context of the question and the nature of the question. So one thing is that. And second, when we come to paper 2, the major part is the interlinking of theories, where we need to connect theories to the current affairs or the contemporary things that is happening in society. And the third would be to provide a framework for thinking. So, and that is also something that I got from you, where we generally think the answer from different frameworks or from the different syllabus, the syllabus keywords in syllabus that we come across. So for example, when we get an answer, we would be thinking in terms of what is its impact in the political arena, and what is its impact when it comes to religious life and family, gender, caste. So it is, I felt it very easy in the sense that, so if we do not have this framework, we would be wasting a lot of time in thinking like what to write. And when we don't have a framework, again our points would come repetitive. So to avoid that, thinking in terms of the framework also helps.